how cute they are.
Making gingerbread cookies. We need 3 cups of flour, 3/4 of a cup of dark brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of ginger, half a teaspoon of clove. We need 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda, just a pinch of salt. To mix that on low, 12 tablespoons, slightly softened butter, 3/4 of a cup. Add the molasses. I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of milk. Give this a little bit of a knead. Get this in a bag or saran wrap and get this in the fridge for like 20-30 minutes. Set our oven to 350. We are going to take a piece of parchment paper and put it on top, roll it out into a sheet. Put this in the freezer 10 minutes. And here's about how many cookies we were able to get. They're gonna go in the freezer. We need these to get really firm. From the freezer, straight into the oven for 7 minutes. Here are the cookies that just came out of the oven. The cookies are cooled now on our trays. We're going to move them to our cooling rack.
They are so cute.
So much fun. I love gingerbread. Hey guys, and welcome back. I'm Mia, one of the Theme Park Hippies, and today we are going to be making gingerbread cookies. This is my favorite gooey, chewy gingerbread recipe. I will link it in the description below. But we're just going to start cooking. For the ingredients, we're going to be needing flour, dark brown sugar, baking soda, ground clove, ground ginger, cinnamon. We need molasses. This can be hard to find at this time of year. So if you see it or order it on Amazon, you're gonna need a little bit of milk and butter. We're going to add our dry ingredients first. We need 3 cups of flour, 3/4 of a cup of dark brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of cinnamon, we need 1 tablespoon of ginger, half a teaspoon of clove, we need 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking soda. 1, 2, 3. Just a pinch of salt because I'm using salted butter. Now we're going to put it into our electric mixer and give all the dry ingredients a mix before we add in our butter. We're just going to mix that on low until it all becomes incorporated before we add our butter. Just going to scrape down my sides. Make sure we get the little bits on the bottom of the flour. Another good mix. Now we are going to be adding our butter, and we have our butter cut up into a bunch of little pieces. It is 12 tablespoons of slightly softened butter. If you have a guard, it would be helpful. I don't have one. I don't know what it is. We're gonna mix this for about 1.5 minutes. So this is going to be our measuring cup for molasses. We're just going to add some butter in here to create like non-stick because the molasses is super, super sticky. You could spray this if you use cooking spray as well. Now it's time for our molasses. We need 3, whoa, this is a messy and a sticky. We need 3/4 of a cup of molasses. You need molasses. You cannot make gingerbread without. Now with your mixer on low, we're gonna slowly add the molasses into our cookie mixture. And it's gonna slowly pull everything together. And once we have all of our molasses in there, we are also going to be adding some milk. Now our dough has really started to come to a mixture. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of milk. And we're gonna turn this up a little bit and then let it come together as a full dough, about 10 seconds or so. Okay, onto a lightly floured surface, we're going to pour our dough and we're gonna mix this up by hand. Give it a good mix. And then we're going to put this either in some saran wrap or a plastic bag and stick it in the fridge for a little bit. We're just going to give this a little bit of a knead. Okay, we're going to get this in a bag or saran wrap and get this in the fridge for like 20-30 minutes. We want to get all the air out that we can. That's important. We don't want the dough to dry out. And we're gonna be working in batches, but we need the dough to get really cold because of the butter before we start rolling out our cookies. Now that our dough is sitting, we are going to set our oven to 350. Now that our dough has cooled, it's a lot colder, we are going to put it onto our parchment paper. When we're working with this dough, we want to always have a piece of parchment paper on our surface that we're working with and on top of our dough. So when we're rolling it out, we want to have another piece of parchment paper on top of it. What we're going to do is we are going to cut our dough in half, and we're going to work with 1/2 at a time. This is what your dough should look like. Like, it's very sticky. This could be colder. I'm going to stick this other half back in the refrigerator. We are going to take a piece of parchment paper and put it on top of our dough and press down. And then we're going to roll it out into a sheet, but we still want to leave it kind of thick. Once I get it rolled out, it's just in a large circle. It doesn't have to be like a particular size or anything like that. I do like to take off the parchment paper here like that, just so it doesn't stick. Flip it and do the same thing to the other side. Now, what we are going to do is I'm going to use a cookie sheet and I'm going to put it onto my cookie sheet just like this. And we're going to stick this in the freezer for like 10 minutes. And we need it to firm up before we cut the cookies out. Once we cut the cookies out, we're going to do that same process again. I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other half of my dough. So before you make your cookies, make sure that you have room in your freezer where you can have 2 cookie sheets, because we're going to be going in, freezing, and taking it out a couple minutes later. We need them a little bit firmer to work with the dough. This way, it helps it to really hold its shape. Whatever shape you are cutting out for your cookies, by putting it in the freezer, it makes it harder. So it holds its shape longer before it starts melting in the oven. When we put the sheets first in the freezer, we're doing this to make it firmer so it's easier to cut the shapes out of our cookie and it's easier for them to pop out. If the dough is too soft and because it's too warm, they'll get all wonky and they won't pop out of the cookie cutter properly. And it's because there's butter in it. So the warmer it is, the softer your dough is going to be. The colder it is, the harder your dough will be. So it'll be able to hold a shape much better. Into the freezer with this one now. Stick this in the freezer for like 10 minutes. Our first sheet of dough is nice and cold. So we're going to peel this off. I'm just going to place this over here. We're going to be using the parchment paper a lot, like back and forth. So just keep it somewhere where you can access it. Today, I'm using gingerbread and little stars that I'm going to turn into some stars, some snowflakes. I'm going to cut out as many gingerbread as I can and then fill the rest in with stars. Here's the cookie dough, and here's about how many cookies we were able to get from a sheet. After we pick these out, then we're going to roll the cookie dough back out and put it back in the freezer and do it again. I only have 4 cookies. These are going to go in the freezer. We need these to get really firm. If you guys can tell, but there's all this like dough that's stuck here. We do not want that. That is not good. Our dough is too soft right now. So we need to knead this back together. I'm using the parchment paper to really help me because it's going to stick less to the parchment paper and it's kind of sticking back to itself here. Just to form it into a ball or like, you know, a round shape, I'm going to put it back in the plastic bag and stick it in the fridge. These things need to be in here at least 10 minutes. Here are the cookies I was able to get out of this slab of dough. I'm just peeling the cookies out now and putting them on the tray. See how they stay in their shape? Exactly what we want. Look at the cute little gingerbread man. We're gonna pop these in the freezer for about 5 minutes before we put them in the oven once these cookies come out. We're going to form this back into a dough, like a ball of dough that we can roll out into a sheet again. Basically do that whole thing over again. Now the dough is very hard now, so we can leave it out for a little bit. We're gonna move on to the dough that we have in the refrigerator, roll it out into sheets, and do this same routine again. They are ready to come out of the oven. They just came out of the oven. Here they are. I'm going to place them over here to cool a little bit before I transfer them to my cooling racks. Here are the cookies that just came out of the oven. We're gonna let those cool a little bit, and they're gonna kind of smush back down. I know they're a little risen right now, but they're gonna go down, and then once they harden up a little bit, we're gonna move them here to our cooling racks. The cookies are cooled now on our trays. We're going to move them to our cooling racks. I ended up baking these in an oven at 350 for about 7 minutes. Oh, we need to let these sit a little bit longer. His leg! We don't want to lose the leg. These are coming from the freezer straight into the oven for 7 minutes. We're just peeling away the cookies here around our gingerbread men, around our stars. It's like playing with Play-Doh. I love making cookies. All right, guys, so most of the cookies are out. There is one more batch waiting in the freezer to harden up to go in. Here's some more cooling. We have some over here waiting on our decorating station here. These are ones that are fully cooled. We'll show you a clip later of us decorating. We are going to be going live here with y'all to decorate cookies. We're really excited. We're going to be making our royal icing and then putting it into piping bags and closing them off with like a rubber band or a hair tie. And you can stick those in the refrigerator and those will stay good for like a couple days. If you wanted to color them, you could add food coloring. It may, if you're using a liquid food coloring, it may make it like more liquidy. So you may want to separate some of the icing out as you're adding your water. But basically you can make this royal icing, it's my favorite, using just powdered sugar or confectioner sugar, meringue powder, and water. That's it. You can also add like an extract, like vanilla extract or peppermint extract or whatever you would want. You can add that too. Just make sure you add less water. But we're gonna go ahead and start making this now. If you do not have meringue powder, you can make royal icing using egg whites, but meringue powder can be found at like most craft stores. So like Hobby Lobby and Michael's, you can find it in their cake decorating aisle. They should always have that. It's harder though to find at like a grocery store. It's a lot easier to find at craft stores is what I found. Also Amazon, you can order it on Amazon as well. We need 4 cups of powdered sugar. Then we need 3 tablespoons of our meringue powder. It's like a very fine white, like crystallized powder almost. It smells good. Okay, so 3 tablespoons of that. 1, 2, 3. Now, the camera got a little taste. So now we are going to mix this in a stand mixer. We're going to just mix this up on like a low and get all of that incorporated with the powdered sugar and meringue powder. We just want all of this to get really mixed up. It does say to sift it, but I'm not sifting it. I'm going to do this. We're now going to add our flavoring. I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. But if you want to add it like a peppermint or something like that, you would want to add 1/2 teaspoon of whatever flavoring. I'm going to add that. And then 1 tablespoon at a time, we're going to add room temperature water. Grate this sugar in here and make sure everything gets incorporated together. We're going to increase our speed here until we have stiff peaks. Or if you want to make some icing where it's stiffer, take some out, and then you can add more water and make it more of a liquid so you can do your outline and then fill it. Whatever you like to do for icing. It's getting better, but I need it a little bit stiffer. It's a little too wet right now. Now what we're gonna do is we have a piping bag here, and I'm gonna put it into a tall glass, and I'm gonna turn the top over like this. Because basically we need to get the icing in here. Make sure that we don't get this area sticky. But that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna fill the icing into here now. Here's what the royal icing looks like. It's delicious. Now, we're gonna just put this in here, but see how easy it makes it? If I was doing this without the cup, it would make it a lot harder. And then I have a rubber band. Close it up like this. Try to squeeze as much down as we can. Twist. And put our rubber band around here to secure the top. And we're gonna leave this until we need it later before we cut the tip off to like actually have the icing come out of here. So we're securing the top like this, and we're gonna leave it like this until we need it and stick this in the fridge. These are just decorating bags you can find. You can order them on Amazon. If you go to a craft store to get the meringue powder, they will also have these. And same thing, we're just gonna fill this up. All right, guys, well, thank you so much for watching. This is how you make my chewy gingerbread cookies with a nice royal icing. I'm gonna show you up next some of the cookies that we decorated.
All right, guys, here is the reveal of our gingerbread. They are so cute. We used the icing that we made, the royal icing, to decorate them. And I made a bunch of snowflakes. Also, this is a Demogorgon. And then AJ did some beautiful, unique, and original designs.
That's so sweet. You could call them that. Look at me as cute. Cute classics.
Look how cute they are. They are so adorable.
So much fun. I love gingerbread. They're my favorite. We are going live tonight to decorate cookies together with all of you that watch us. So thank you so much. If you like this type of content, please consider giving us a like and subscribe. It really helps our channel to grow. And we hope that wherever you are, whenever you are, you're having a beautiful and wonderful day. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Bye.